What's up, everyone? Hope you had a nice, lazy holiday week. I'm still in the middle of it. Was just binge watching You on Netflix, and then I had to stop because that show's awful. So let's talk baseball instead. As I was sitting there trying to listen to the terrible dialogue and the terrible narration, I was just going on the laptop and checking out Baseball Reference, as you do. You know, you go there, you get lost for a couple hours, just searching around. I think I was on Eric Chavez's page, figuring out how do you wind up with the Yankees. And then I was on Pedro Feliciano's page, and I was like, damn, the Yankees signed him to a 2-year deal for $8 million. He never threw a single pitch because the Mets used him so much. And I said, well, which reliever has made the most appearances in the history of baseball? That was a fun little Google search, and I came up upon Mike Marshall's page. I'm not embarrassed to admit that I'm not familiar with the name Mike Marshall. And then I was reading up about him. Super interesting guy. Won the Cy Young in 1974 for the Dodgers. The first relief pitcher to ever win the Cy Young. Pretty incredible. Then I go, all right, let's go check out this 1974 season. Get a load of this, guys. Mike Marshall in 1974 for the Dodgers. He appeared in 106 games. Now, everyone knows I'm a big dumb idiot when it comes to math, but even I know that's more than 50% of a 162 game season. He appeared in 106 games. He finished 83 games. 83 of the Dodgers games in 1974. The last pitcher on the mound was Mike Marshall. That's insane. That is insane. He pitched over 200 innings out of the pen. Starting pitchers starting pitchers were doing that then. He still had more innings pitched than starting pitchers of his time. But now if a pitcher goes 170 innings 2 years in a row, you're like, all right, good. That guy's eating innings. This dude pitched 200 innings out of the bullpen. Opener teams would have fucking loved him as the bulk guy. He basically was the Dodgers bulk guy, but he finished, the old school closer roles. So there's a couple other stats. Like his numbers are good from that year. He had a 2.42 ERA. What was the other numbers? The consecutive games. I mean, if you pitch 106 games, you're pitching a lot. The Yankees last season didn't have a single pitcher pitch 3 days in a row. They never had a guy pitch 3 days in a row. They always gave him an off day in between. This motherfucker, Mike Marshall, he opened the season, and from his first appearance, he threw 5 consecutive days in a row. That was how he entered the 1974 Dodgers. He wanted to pitch every day. Look at this stretch. It's incredible. From June 21st until July 5th, he pitched on 13 straight game days in a row. Now, the reason why that wording is kind of silly is because there were some days where the team didn't have a game, so obviously he didn't pitch on that day. And then there were some days where they had doubleheaders and he just pitched in one of the 2 games. So he didn't pitch every single game, but 13 days in a row, the Dodgers had a game, he pitched in it. They finally gave him a break on July 7th, I think. They gave him a break. They're like, you know what, dude? Take this game off. We'll go 1 game without you. You just did 13 days in a row. Only so they can use him for multiple innings the very next day in 2 games of the doubleheader. The dude just pitched nonstop. It wasn't like Pedro Feliciano. He was a loogie, a lefty, 1-out only guy. So he pitched a lot of games for the Mets, like 90 appearances, but they're one batter, basically. This dude was eating innings and appeared in 106 games.
During the season, we'd always have the gag. It wouldn't be a Dodger ball game if you didn't have a hot dog, a soft drink, and see Mike Marshall. And, when the Dodgers went into the season, everybody talked about the $1 million starting pitching. But he relieved 106 of the 162.
He threw a screwball, which you hold it like out here. It's really kind of like a change up because it's got the reverse break and it's much slower than a fastball. But some baseball enthusiasts, will tell you that it broke like a curveball. It was like and it was really slow looping. And then other MLB players were like, it's just a changeup. It's the screwball doesn't really exist. But I think it existed. They threw it at just a really slow looping pitch. I think it would probably get clobbered today. But that's what he did. All right. So the other interesting thing about this dude was he was pretty smart. He finished college while being a baseball player. He got his degree in kinesiology. He actually was teammates with Tommy John and told Tommy John, like, hey, you should go get this surgery. It's pretty risky, but I think it would work. Tommy John gets the surgery. Now we know it as Tommy John surgery. Apparently, Mike Marshall was the guy that was said, hey, go do this. People kind of thought he was kooky or he was kind of a jerk, is what I read somewhere. He kind of got blackballed. Like, he wasn't that bad. He got bounced around. There was a time when the Minnesota just dropped him. They could have traded him for something. They didn't. And then for a year, no one called him, and he was one of the biggest firearms out of the bullpen in all of baseball, and no one gave him a shot. And then the Mets gave him a call a year later, and he was all right. He didn't strike a lot of guys out, but I think he had like 2-something ERA for the Mets, and then they released him, and then he never got a job in baseball again. He still is very much involved in baseball, and because he's a kinesiology major and loves like studying the movement of the body, he has developed this new style of pitching that he thinks will reduce injury and allow people to throw more pitches and whatever. There's some videos out there that he has on YouTube, and it's very easy to scoff at because it looks fucking weird. Baseball is one of the more conservative sports going. It's like golf and baseball. So maybe horse racing, because those are like the original sports. You know, NBA, NFL, they got around in like the 50s, 60s, really. 80s for like super popular. So I don't know if I have a proper end to this video. Go to coveragegear.com to get this baseball hat. Of course, use code Jomboy to get some money off. They have a ton of other hats. But Mike Marshall, I just feel like this guy should be known. His 1974 season's incredible. Oh, I didn't even mention that. They made it to the World Series, the Dodgers versus the Oakland A's, Reggie Jackson's Oakland A's that year, and he pitched in all 5 games because, of course, he did. He finished all 5 games. The Dodgers lost. They only won 1 game. Mike Marshall finished all 5 games, and he pitched in 2 of the NLCS games. So let's do some quick math here. 108 plus 7. No, 106 plus 7. 113 appearances in 1974 for Mike Marshall. Go tell your friends, and they'll say, I didn't ask. Who? What? Why? And you'll say, oh, that's cool, huh? And they'll be like, nah. Baseball.